Hi, Nick Collier here, and this is my shop. Come join me. We'll have some fun. Okay. We're going to come down until we touch Yeah, and I could put a paper in there and everything like that, but we're within a certain amount here, so that's touching. Oops, hang on. Okay, now we're gonna come down and touch. I wanted to get that knee up into a solid number. Now, we drop, or we bring the knee up 20 thousandths, 10, 20, and tighten that up. And we got ourselves a little flat right there. Now let's take it over sideways, and this is the reason why I put the small bit in there, is so that I could get this to go all the way up close to the tap. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to start it up and then bring it in until it touches, and then go in 20 thousandths. Okay, now we're going to put our big bit back in. So we got three sides that are totally square with the shaft, or with the tap. And eventually we're going to have four sides, but not quite yet. Okay, big one. And this one's interesting because it was, I got it in a sale at some point, and it was a double, a cutter on both ends. It was probably about that long, and it was like I couldn't use it. So I went with my cutoff blade, and I literally used an entire blade just cutting that off. But now I have a good sharp end mill this size, and with the shaft, or with a cutting face that long, that'll fit across the face of that. Now at this point, this face is, let's see, do I need to do that? I don't think I do. But I'm going to do it just in case something goes wrong. So now we disconnect that, drop it down there. Let's see, which way do we want to travel? That looks like the way. No, the other way. We've taken about 5 thousandths off of this surface, and you can see it's hitting up here but not down here. So we're 5/1000ths in, which means that this whole thing was 5/1000ths out. It looks to me like it's fairly even, but it's 5/1000ths out this way. So let's continue cutting. Actually, if we look back here, this part is cuts all the way down to there, so it's slightly off this way too. Okay, so now let's bring it in just another 5 or 10. And again, we're going really slow because the hole is, the tap is the only thing really holding it here, but it is holding it fairly tight. Okay, it's starting to chatter, so I'm going to slow everything down. Okay, you can see I'm almost 20/1000ths in on this to square it up, and there's still a little bit of roughness right in this corner. But we're going to leave that because all this is for is just in case we need a straight edge in order to take measurements from or something like that. So at this point, we bring our bit out. We take our plug out with the tap, and we've got a square edge here, we've got a square edge here, and you can see that and let's bring it in a little closer. You can see that this edge here, or this flat, is narrower here than it is out here, and so consequently that's how far off this one was. This one wasn't bad. One of the ones I did earlier, I mean, it was out by, I don't know, 30/1000ths. The taper was like almost half here and a full width up there. But, you know, hey, this one was more accurate. Now what we want to do is take the tap out and go from there. And Acme taps, because it's got that step process in it, you'd never want to back them out, because this part down here will pretty much destroy the tap. So you gotta go all the way through. And this sucker is tight, which is, you know, kind of a lifesaver for me, because it holds that thing in position. Okay, it's starting to loosen up. There we go. And it also recuts that surface and cleans it up a little bit better. Okay, so now we take it back to the mill and we put in this flat. Alright, so we come in and make sure that this surface is nice and clean. And this is the surface we want to do. So we're going to come in on this flat here. Oops, I guess we better open this up, hadn't we? we're just going to put pressure on it and close it up. Bring it down till it touches, and I pretty much want to bring one of those blades in right there. Lock it. Back it off. Add 20 thousandths. And there we are. Okay, so we've got 4 sides. Let's go over to the little lathe. Okay, we're over at the little south bin. We're gonna bring these 4 flats in on the four-jaw chuck, and I'm pretty much all set up from the last one. So what I want to do is I want to just come in and just barely see how I'm wiggling just a little bit. Just keep wiggling until all the wiggle is out. There it is. And then let's do it this way. Okay, that's pretty good. Oh, damn it. I gotta come further out. For one, we're gonna machine this whole thing to a depth. Okay, we got to come a little further out. Something about right there. Yeah, that gives us what we want. Well, let's come out just a little further because we may end up taking some more off of the end here. Okay, so now I'm wiggling back and forth till I don't have any wiggle left, and the same with this. All right. We bring our dial indicator in. Let's bring it in a little closer. Gee, this time you're going to be able to see the dial indicator. Okay, so now make sure that we got to come in just a little closer. We're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. Okay, so now I'm coming into the flat. I'm finding out where my high spot or my low spot is. So we can probably just take that over to 0. And then come around to the second low spot, and we're sitting at 5 thousandths. And that's 5 thousandths tall. So we're going to just snug down on this. Maybe even just a little bit more. Okay. So we're now sitting at 10. Oh, look at that. That sucker hit just right. Now the problem is that we're still a little bit loose. So we need to snug it up just a little bit. 10. and 9. So we're going to tighten this up just a bit. We're about 12 and a half, maybe, yeah, 12 and a half. And 11. Okay, first thing we're going to do is square up this edge just in case something happens, we've got a nice flush edge to work with. All right. And you can see how far off that thing is. It's a ways. Okay, nice and clean. Now, let's bring our drill in. And we're going to drill a center hole. And the reason for that center hole, at least for the moment, is because this bit is pretty sharp and at a pretty heavy rake, and it tends not to be able to get into that center. Can you see it? Okay. That, I think, is better. So anyhow, that bit is at a pretty steep rake, and it can't get into the center. So drill that center hole, and the hole is going to be there, is needed later on. So where it's sitting, our compound is sitting at 18 degrees. And so we just kind of keep traveling in a little bit at a time. Oh, that's right. It goes better to start out here and bring it in. It seems to cut better. Okay, we're within about 20 of our goal. So now what we have to do is we have to go in 75 thousandths. So we'll come in, we'll touch our line. All right, so at this point, let's come in and figure out what our depth is here so that we can make sure. 470. And we're gonna come in here. Let's see if we can back this up a bit. And I'd say that's pretty close. 469. I'm happy with that. Okay, good. So we've got a nice clean edge there. Our depth is good there. Now what we need to do is find out how deep we are with this this cone shape. And what I've done is I've come in with my little square, and I've put some ink on it, and I put myself a mark right at 75 thousandths. I don't know if you can see that, but that's what I've got, and that's gonna bring me about 3/4 of the way in to where I need to be. All right, we're pretty close. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I'd say another 5 or so. And then we need to get our width. Okay, we got another 5 thousandths deeper, and then we're not sure about how wide we are. But we're going to find out ASAP. One 295, and we want 1,332. So we've got 37 thousandths more to go. Let's take a cleanup cut. Thirty-one and a half. I like it. Okay, and our depth. Beautiful. Oh man, we did it. All right, so now I'm all set up here, but my bit is in the wrong angle, right? So we just take this bit out, and the advantage of using quick change head, flip this bit in, and there we go. All right, so now we square this up. All right, nice and rough. Let's get you around to the other side. Oh, we got a ways to go. Okay, we've got 22 here. And we need to take it down to 21, and that's just about perfect as far as just hitting with the file just a little bit. Take off the machine marks. Give ourselves a nice smooth surface. And we're at 21.5, so just a little bit more. $21. Let's see how we're doing over here. $21.5. Okay, let's just take a little bit more off the interior there. $21. All right, we're there. That's pretty much a done deal. At least that part of the process. Okay, so we're going to take these two jaws apart, and that way when we put the next one in, the jaws will be pretty close. And there is our finished piece. Now we have to come in and clean all of this up, and there's a few other things that need to be dealt with, but and then also drill a hole, but that comes later. And for now, we're set to go. Okay, one last thing before we put this to bed is we have a right hand thread there, and so I want to mark this. And we're just going to put a little stamp in here because this is not a surface that matches with anything. And there we go. A little R. Can you see it? Possibly. All right. Okay, well, we came in and cut that center hole, and I forgot to turn the camera on. But now we're into cutting this little oil hole, and that's it's going to be 1 700,000ths deep, but not all the way through, so we have to measure it. But for the moment, because we're at a taper here, we're going to come in with just a micro mill bit and square up the surface that we're going to cut. Just a little bit. That's just about right. So we got a nice flat in there. And then we're going to take and put my micro center in here. I got to go find that. So hang on. Well, I'm holding this by hand, the camera by hand, so I had to walk across the room to get the drill, or the center drill. Now I've got it. We're going to come down right into that center spot right there and go ahead and drill it. And it is a very small bit. So all we want to get is a start. Nothing more. So you're noticing how slow I'm going with these drill bits. It's pretty amazing, this stuff. This is 501 bronze, or 510 bronze. This stuff is hard as stainless, as 316 stainless, to drill and to machine and all of that. And so the way you do 316 stainless is you go really slow with a lot of oil. And it seems like that's all I can do with this material here. I mean, it's not as hard as stainless, but it's real gummy, and it tends to, once it gets hot, it tends to swell up and chomp down on the bit. Whereas stainless, once it gets hot, it gets work hardened. So, so we're going to come in with the drill bit now and go ahead and drill this.